Today we're going to be talking about Bharani Nakshatra. Bharani starts at 13 degrees and 20 minutes and goes to 26 degrees and 40 minutes in the Aries zodiac sign. The ruling planet for this nakshatra is Venus or Shukra. The deity of this nakshatra is Lord Yama, or the god of death. The symbol for this nakshatra is the vagina or yoni. The gender of this nakshatra is female. The guna is rajasic. The nature of this nakshatra is fierce or severe. The element is earth. The caste of this nakshatra is an outcast. The yoni, or the animal of this nakshatra, is a male elephant. With Bharani Nakshatra, these people are highly principled right from childhood. The knowledge comes to them like automatically. They're interested and they know a lot of subjects, and these people can understand all of it. Most of the people in this nakshatra are pacifists, and they don't like to create problems for other people. They believe that they have an innate duty and that it's divine, and they do really well in the professional sphere. There are obstacles that seem to always find their way into Bharani natives. Sometimes these natives can find it difficult to deal with. I mean, even though these people don't generally get to be popular, they also don't go out of their way to try to please people either. As a matter of fact, they find it difficult to adjust themselves to the requirements of others. They're not the types of people who get discouraged or feel depressed just because people don't like them. These people are really resilient, and that's a major attribute for them. These people, they tend to have a low tolerance. Which is another reason why they don't have a huge circle of friends. They don't really tolerate things that they don't like. Even though you don't mind when people say harsh words to you, you still have a big heart though. Usually these natives have really big, beautiful eyes. You have a really good composure too. People don't know if you're feeling stressed or if you don't like them or anything, or if you're liking them. You can't tell by your demeanor. You always stay well composed. You usually dress really well. Usually the males in this nakshatra are well liked. I mean, like I said, they say things without caring about what people think. I mean, male Bahrainis are likely to be really popular in public, but they also lose wealth in the face of criticism too. The females with this nakshatra are usually really modest and have a high priority to be honest. Both of these male and female Bahraini natives, they both respect their elders. Females tend to be a little bit more aggressive than the males, though. And that's just because of the power of this nakshatra. I mean, this nakshatra is ruled by Yama. And Yama himself is just... again, the symbols of this nakshatra just show how powerful it is. And I want to explain to you folks who don't really know that much about Yama. I don't want people to be thinking of, when I say the god of death, I don't want people to be thinking about the Grim Reaper. That is not what Yama is and represents at all. I mean, there are a couple stories just to show how loving Yama is. Yama has a job to do, and he does his job. I mean, there's no question about that. But for example, there's a story in Vedic, and in this story, basically Surya had two kids. He had Yama and Yamuna, which is one of the names of the rivers in India, one of the major rivers. And his wife, Surya's wife, she couldn't bear the heat of Surya. So she made herself like a shadow of herself. And this shadow of herself is called Chaya. Now, when Surya's wife left Chaya, who looked exactly like her, Surya couldn't even tell the difference. He thought it was her with him all the time. But Chaya didn't give love, like motherly love, to Yama and Yamuna. So these brother and sister, they grew up taking care of each other. And Yamuna would often go visit Yama's house or ask him to come over, but he would always say he had something else to do. And so one day he decided that he would give her a surprise visit. And when he came, Yamuna was so happy. And so she gave him food and put the sindoor on his forehead and blessed him. And when Yama was leaving, Yama is known to ask people if they want a boon. Because when he visits, and he's pleased, he'll say, "What boon do you want?" And so his sister said that she wanted him to dedicate this day that he visited her for all siblings. And so even today in India, they have a holiday called the Bhai-Dooj, which means like the brother Dooj, a Bhai-Dooj. And so basically every year this celebration happens, and the sister, the brother comes and visits the sister, and she usually gives him a bracelet, like a really beautiful bracelet to wear. And then another story about Yama's compassion and how wonderful and how energetic this having this be, your deity in your chart. There's and I actually have this in my playlist on this channel, but it's the story about how the story of Sati Savitri and Yama. And you can find this all over the internet. It's a huge story. I mean, it's told to kids, it's told to adults. I think they even have movies made with this. But basically, there was this princess, Sati Savitri, and she could not find a suitable groom. And so, I mean, even her father, the king, said, go out and look for one, and anyone that you like. And so she went out and tried to look even for herself and still couldn't find anybody. Then so she traveled really far to try to find a groom, and she ended up finding this man who was living in like the tribal areas or the village areas or the forest areas. But he was actually really a prince. But his father had lost his sight, so they got banished out of the kingdom, so to speak. And so when Sati Savitri first came upon this boy, she knew immediately just by his aura that this was a good guy. And when she asked about him and heard his responses, she knew that was the one that she had to marry. So when she went back and told her father, they wanted to get the blessings of Narayan. And so Narayan told Sati Savitri that this groom that she wanted was gonna die soon. That he was a suitable groom and perfect, but he was gonna die. And Sati Savitri didn't care. She was like, I don't care. He's the only one for me. And so she ended up getting married and went and lived in that tribal area with them. And the day that he was going to die, and she never told him, like, hey, I know you're going to die, But the day that he was going to die, she went with him. And when Yama came, so her husband had, collapsed and died. And then Yama came, and Sati Savitri was, pleading with him and said, you're so wonderful, and was appeasing Lord Yama. And Yama was so impressed by her beautiful words and her sincerity that he gave her a boon, just the same way he gave his sister. And so he had mentioned a stipulation in that boon, though. He said, you can ask for anything except to bring your husband back. And then she would go on appeasing him, and she was so generous in her boons. Like, she didn't ask anything for herself. Oh, I hope I don't start crying. She didn't ask anything for herself. She asked, like, for her husband's father, the old king, to get his eyesight back and get his kingdom back. And then, like, Yama was so impressed, and he said, I'm so impressed. Ask for another boon. except for your husband. And then she said, well, I wish that he had 100 good sons, and and his kingdom was reestablished. And again, Yama was really impressed. And this went on and on a couple of times. And finally, it got to the point where Yama was so impressed that when he asked her to give her another boon and ask for her boon, he forgot to mention, except for your husband. And so Sati Savitri immediately asked, I want my husband to live. And so Yama granted that for her, and her husband came back to life, and the old king had his eyesight back, he got his kingdom back, and it's a beautiful story. And to have this energy running through your nakshatra is just a blessing in itself. There's a lot of symbolic meaning in this nakshatra. Yama, the same thing. Like, he has, all this stigmatism that gets, people think, oh my gosh, it's death, and, and it's like, even in the face of all that, like, he still maintains his composure. And these people do the same thing. And even when he was little, and Yama and Yamuna, they didn't have that love, that motherly love, growing up. Even in the face of that, he and Yamuna were able to, overcome that. So, I think that is something that you can take with you, to give you energy and lead you on your fruitful pursuits in life. And so let's go into the compatibilities with this nakshatra. So this nakshatra gets along really well with other planets, other nakshatras with Venus. So that's going to be other Baharanis, Purva Falguni, Purva Ashada. It also gets along really well with Shani nakshatras, so Pushya, Anuradha, Uttar Bhadrapada, and it gets along really well with Buddha or Mercury, so Ashlesha, Jeshta, Revati. Things start to go neutral with Mongol nakshatras, so Chitra, Dhanishta, Mrigashira. Things are also neutral with Brihaspati or Jupiter, so that means Vishaka, Purva Bhadrapada, and Purnavasu. Things start to get a little uneasy with the Rahu and Ketu, so that means Arudra, Swati, Shatabishta, Mula, Magha, Ashwini. And things start to get really challenging with Chandra, which is really surprising, but so Rohini, Hasta, Shravana, and things also do get challenging with Surya, so Uttarashada, Uttarfalguni, and Kritika. Well, folks, thank you so much for joining me tonight, and I hope you have a great night. Thank you.